This is log number 48. I'm recording this on the 19th of September, and it's a Thursday, which is unusual. Usually record this on a Friday, the end of my working week, but this week has been quite unique so far, and given that tomorrow I won't be in the studio, I wanted to record this from today. So in this week, I was tasked to keep moving forward in the design, keep moving forward in how I create and draw the continuation of the second chapter main composition. And the week started quite unorthodoxly. I I wasn't in the studio. I had to do some obligations, and I wasn't back till Tuesday afternoon. In the meantime, I decided to start writing and drawing the many additional content that is within the Stonemason. Parts of the additional designs that came with chapter 3 and things that I can do as I'm moving around versus having to be in the studio to do, aka the bigger designs, the more important designs. And as I started writing and drawing these additional designs, I started sort of feeling a bit freer. Breaking up the routine and breaking up the patterns allows for creativity and a sense of renewed inspiration to hit. And working on location versus working in the studio all the time really did make a difference. As I as a Monday and Tuesday I was at the beach, I was enjoying the waves and things that I didn't have sort of the capability to do before, given that I would be working in the studio. And as I was outside, I was contemplating a lot, mainly contemplating on the story at hand, contemplating on how the characters and history of what I'm depicting has played through and influenced what I'm trying to do and how to navigate it really became apparent. I also started dabbling really into its history, understanding some of the factual things so I can reference them. And obviously, I can elaborate and change things if I want to, but within the scope of reality. And I quite enjoyed changing the norm. As I said in the previous log, changing the norm has become quite a constant for me in this past few weeks. And I've been craving it. I've been craving the change. I've been craving the progression of both myself as an artist and myself as a person. I realize that it's only manageable when you sort of subconsciously and consciously take yourself out of what you're constantly doing and seeing it from a different perspective, at the same time elaborating it and going through it in different perspectives. I had to stock up on some of the equipment that I use for the stonemason drawings, some mechanical pencil leads and uh, some pencil erasers and such. I also bought a new ruler, which surprisingly enough makes measurements a lot easier and a lot more precise. The previous ruler that I had was sort of like damaged, and some of the numbers were chipped off, and um, most of the time was sort of like semi guessing. And now it's really precise. It's transparent as well, so I can really sort of write down the measurements quite precise. On Tuesday when I came back, I sort of ended the day by reflecting on how I'm going to proceed in the next 2 days. Given that on Friday I'm going to be leaving the country, I'm going to be leaving the country until Monday. I have an interesting proposition that I took upon in exploring and seeing how that treats me. and I've been quite excited about that, and quite excited in how that will apply in my story and in my perspective. Given that it's been last month I have traveled as well, and this month I will travel as well, and in my previous travel I've 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 had a big revelation, and I'm very excited to see how this sort of adventure will treat me, given that I'm not gonna lose days from the design, given that on the weekend I don't create, but on Friday I would have missed a few hours that I could have added, and on Monday I come very early in the morning, so if I decide to design on Monday, it shouldn't be a problem. But I'm excited to see how that will play out and how that will inspire me. As it comes to what progress I've made in the design so far, I went deeper into compositional sections 1, 2, and 3. I am sort of halfway there. Given the bigger size of the design, I have bigger space to add detail, and when I create an object, I kind of create it as finished as I can, which it's a double-edged sword. You can see it better. You can sort of understand how the value should work around it, but at the same time, I don't have the full picture. I don't have all the other sections completed, so I know exactly how sort of the value should be when it comes to shadows. But given that I have made the reference and I've sort of it's monochromatic, and I understand how sort of the design requires the shadow values, I consciously make an effort to progress it as much as I can, so I don't have it later and feel that it's sort of semi done. So I feel I'm making progress. Other than that, I have still measurements that I haven't completed. Given that last week I've made lots of measurements preemptively, so I don't have to measure again for quite a while. So I can continue and finish section 1, semi section 2, and go to section 3 and complete that. So it's been very 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 fascinating over here, how my life is changing and how I am changing with it and moving forward. Given that life is very unpredictable, as I said in the previous log, in my past theme, my life was very predictable. The only unpredictability was the people that I would meet every day online, given that I was streaming it on a live audience, and that would be the only difference that I could face. But now I have all the aspects, and I don't know. It just feels like how it should be. That in order to create something that is very personalized and very diverse, and at the same time it has a part of our history with it, and it's fictional, much parts of it, having to sort of sit down and see how what happened and how your story is affecting both what we're feeling now as a society and what was felt back then, and how to relate those two, so I can make a message, I can make a point. It needs a lot of thinking and moving forward constantly in a methodical manner breaks away the level-headedness of such a task. So it is my hope that by the end of these designs, I can summarize in a much more coherent way how this sort of method of taking breaks as life gives them and shows them to me. And what I mean by breaks is not having to work constantly in the studio on the designs that I've been sort of creating, which I have been since November. Except for the past 2 months, I have been really changing my schedule up, but at the same time continuing the story in some shape or form, either by writing, either by doing some poetry, which is going to be included in the story. It's going to be included in the designs, in the way that the compositions will be laid out. At the same time, the additional designs that do not require at all the precision that the bigger designs require, and it makes a statement and a part of the story that that adds to the believability of it, because we're talking about a character that have has been through some things and have seen many things, and at the same time was recording them in some shape or form that makes sense to them. And now that we're gonna be seeing it, we're gonna be seeing parts of that. There's a whole other story that is included in that versus the actual designs. And my little storytelling brain is having a blast. It's honestly having a blast, and I look forward to hearing how people navigate this, because it has been so personalized for me, and such a secret, which I'm not used to keeping. Given that my previous theme, it was all about sharing every step, sharing everything that has to do with the design, and now it's only my words, just my words, expressing what I feel, what I want to do, what I failed, what I failed, what I anything, all just audible without any show form of showcasing visual, so I don't get influenced by other people's opinion. And it is a thing that I'm trying, a thing that I'm sort of working on, the one extreme before of showing everything to everyone, and the other extreme now that is showing nothing to no one. Is it's an interesting sort of scale of things to weigh and understand what I prefer. I know that balance needs to be struck, so I'm hoping by the end of this arc and the continuation of the second arc, I can find a better balance into showcasing and moving forward in having the artistical sort of confidence that is not being skewed and sort of influenced by others. Which I'm quite excited to see how that will look for people who have seen my work before or are familiar with my work before. How much this sort of new theme, obviously with the different stylistical sort of approach and as the story demands, but how much of this is considered and felt as me, in the quotations of me as an artist and as a self, versus flow, which was more influenced by many things. So it's I'm looking forward to those comments when they do appear. Before I close the log, I want to touch upon the deadline that is in December. That it's been on my mind, I would say. Um, I'm not sure, given that I've been taking a few on and off breaks from the main design sort of work, how that will go. Given now we have another week of September and then we go to October, and I will take an estimate that I will take another month to finish this design. Now that I'm sort of getting the hangs of it. Sorry, the hang of it. My English sometimes. Um, and I'll see how that sort of transfers into the design, and then I have two more to do, which is November and December, which I don't know. It doesn't feel very realistic at this point to aim for that, but I will aim for it nonetheless, because you never know. And if anything, January or even early February will be a perfect time. For some reason, my mind keeps telling me to release it. If I fail to release it on the 25th of December, to release it in the 14th of February, which is sort of like the commercialized Valentine's Day. But it has parts of it in the story that relate to not the day per se, but the essence of romance, and could be another sort of vaguely obscure day to release it. It would have been a more appropriate in December, given the story has a connotation behind that. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But as I said, priority is to make this as good as I can, as complete, as thoroughly interesting as I can, because this will be my base in showcasing anyone who wants to get on board with the theme and potentially line up exhibitions of when it finishes. So yeah. Regardless, that's my thoughts on this week. A very unique week and a very unique end to it as well. Given that I'm flying for a few days and coming back to the studio by Monday. So yeah, excited and looking forward to see how all these changes will affect my art and equivalently myself. So talk soon.